Hello YouTube, welcome back to Kind Heart Homestead. For those of you who have not been keeping up with this build series, my name is Ben, and I'm standing in the utility room of our new solar shed. I just made it back up to our off-grid property in the mountains of Virginia. Every time I leave this place, I fill up this room with empty boxes for all of these appliances and components that I have in this room. So the first thing I did was got them all out of there. No sense in recording that because it's just empty boxes. But as you can see, it still is pretty crammed in here. We got this massive pressure tank. I have my Schneider inverter, PDP and charge controller on the wall behind me, as well as the breaker panel. And on the other side of me is our new tankless propane water heater. I got the valves to attach to this. I got some miscellaneous plumbing components. And my goal for this trip is to try to get stuff ready for the rough-in inspection. That also includes the electrical rough-in inspection. But I'm pretty confident that's most of the way there. I should double check some things, make sure all of my circuits are accounted for. The inspector told me not to put any breakers or anything in like that, but he does say that I need to have my ground rods permanently installed with the ground wire coming in. So I'll need to figure that out. All that stuff's in my car. So stay tuned. If you're interested in seeing this kind of stuff, please let me know in the comments. And I'll see you right back here on Kind Heart Homestead. Stick around, thanks.
So high I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.
I don't know if you can see well in here. It's kind of a tight space for my tripod to be set up. But I installed the shut off and clean out valves for the hot water heater. And those are probably, I don't know, 4 inches long. It was important to have those on before I cut the PEX because I needed to make sure these water lines had enough slack to get up here. And it's kind of a spaghetti of PEX right here. But as you can see, these two are the ones that are going to get hooked onto the water heater. For purposes of the inspection, I was told I don't have to connect the valves to the water lines. So I'm going to leave these long and attach them together with a 90-degree fitting. I don't have any of those PEX plugs that you can just simply crimp into place. It's not going to hurt to connect them because that's actually a convenient method of pressure testing your water lines. If you connect the hot and cold lines together, you only need one connection for your air hose and similarly one pressure gauge to test the entire situation. And I suppose if you have leaks, then it does become a bit of a problem to have everything consolidated into one circuit because then you have to diagnose which line the problem is on. But I'll get to that problem as I get to it. So I'm going to connect these together. And I could have done it with these two over here. These are going to go to the shower valve, which similarly does not need to be installed yet. And obviously I wouldn't want to put that in until the shower is actually ready because you have to drill a hole yourself to position the valve where you want it. And if I mounted the valve first, then it would be much more annoying, or I guess I should say much more difficult to drill the hole to match where the valve is. It'll be easier to drill the hole first, put the valve where it needs to go, and then mount the valve. So I'm going to connect these two pieces together just to complete the circuit. And I'm going to connect these ones with the T-fitting. And then the third section of the T-fitting is where I'm going to connect the pressure gauge. So I'm going to get that done right now. Anytime I deal with PEX, I use this deburring tool first. And it creates this nice little, I guess you could call it like a chamfer or something that goes around the edge. And then that way you know there's no burrs or spikes preventing you from getting the fitting all the way on. Got these crimp rings in my back pocket. Always put these on first. Here's a 90. Alright, my assembly is done. I do have this hooked up to the laundry connection where the two valves come out of the wall, the hot and the cold for your washing machine. And I went ahead and just terminated those because those use shark bite connectors, which are a push to connect situation. There's a special tool I can use to pull the PEX back out of that if I need to, and that's the only reason I left that connected. Everything that requires some sort of crimp connection, I'd prefer to wait to install the valve later. So that's the water heater and then the shower valves. Obviously there's going to be another piece of PEX going up from the shower valves, a combined hot and cold line to the shower head. So I can't test that now unless I wanted to have another spaghetti of T-fittings and stuff going up to that. But the inspector seems to be pretty accommodating when it comes to me leaving things off for later. So I'm just going to try to get this pressure tested the best that I can and get it ready for inspection. I was able to get this up to 40 psi with a handheld bicycle pump, but for the rest, I had to use my air compressor. It's about that time again where I need to water test my sewer and vent system. So this is all 2-inch or 3-inch PVC. The first half of it was tested under the slab before I poured the concrete. Now we're basically just checking for leaks before I put up the drywall. This time, I took this old, I think it's about a 20-foot extension cord, wired it to the correct 30 amp type plug designed for the output of the generator. And I can use wire nuts to connect it temporarily to the well wire, but this at least makes it a bit more safe where the power comes out of the generator. Behind me, I have my torch to heat up the poly line. Let me show you this adapter that I built. There's definitely easier ways to do this, but based on some of the materials I already had on hand, this was a good way to adapt the poly line to a hose thread. When I'm done with this, I can cut it in half and then splice, I guess, this end to my pressure tank, and then that'll come out, get reduced to 1/2 inch, and flow out around to all the fixtures in the solar shed. But for now, I'm going to clamp this with the stainless hose clamps that I got from H2O Mechanic to the actual well output. Put a hose on the end, and I'm not using anything with a valve. So no squeeze activated hose nozzles, no hose bibs with a nozzle. All of this because the well doesn't have the capability to turn itself off, at least the pump doesn't. So if I was to close the valve, I'm worried that the well pump would overwork itself and might burn itself out. I know that Grundfos is a good brand, and perhaps they have some sort of capability in there to sense a clog and shut itself off, but I don't want to take the risk. So I'm going to run my hoses all the way to the building. The building's around 100 feet, I believe, from this wellhead, but I need to get up on the roof. So I have two 100-foot hoses that have been in stores this whole time. I have the ends fitted onto each other, so there shouldn't be any bugs or grime in there. But either way, I'm going to keep the test plug off, the one that's down underground facing the septic tank. I haven't ran that yet. So I'll keep the test plug off to wash all of the grime, the sawdust, the shavings from the PVC cutting. All of that will get washed out. Then I'll come back over here, turn the generator off, put the test plug back in, and then finally do the flood test.
I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would never be fine. I strive just to say I'm alright, and for the first time in a long time I'm alright. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I'm not falling, I'll push all my chips and call all in. I'll bet on myself, you keep stalling. I hear destiny and it's calling. I'll keep my head up high through the downs and lows, and we're all going life. Still nobody knows, but I'ma choose what's right and take what comes and goes. And ain't no one in life holding me back no more. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago.
back a year ago.
Here's just a quick walkthrough of the plumbing vent system. You can see it comes in from the side wall that goes to the gable overhang. There's a tee-off where it comes down, goes under the slab. This is just a vent, not even a wet vent because there's no fixtures draining down it. You can see these caps for the shower and the toilet. On the other side of the laundry wall, you have a utility sink here. Everything's stubbed out, the copper for hot and cold. There's a Y there that goes over to the left, which is where the washing machine output will put its discharge. And then there's the hot and cold water line for it. There's a few drips there I'll need to fix, replace that trap. Then go into outside just under the front door. This will all be buried eventually, but right now I'm putting a test plug there for testing purposes because every time I drain the system after I check it for leaks, I don't want all that water just going into the septic tank full of all the debris and sawdust that it has. I'd rather it just drain in to the ground, get washed away, and then once I'm done checking for leaks is when I'll glue it and attach it to the septic system. Overall, that test worked pretty well. I had the hose feeding down from over the roof, down flooding through, and then this one cap down here was holding back all the water. The only leak I found was at the trap for the laundry hookup. So I'll have to do some work, try to repair that, then do the test again. All right, I just got 2 PowerPro batteries, Eg4 brand from Signature Solar. These were back ordered because I specifically ordered the ones that are UL listed. UL listing is important if you're getting any sort of inspections and trying to meet code. Basically, anything that I build here that's getting inspected has to have UL listed parts. The reason I went with these was because they're actually a very good deal. I was planning to get a server rack cabinet, which costs around $500. And then I was gonna put several of the Eg4 long life batteries in there. The cool thing about those is you can leave bays open, empty for further expansion in the future. What I decided to do was just get 2 of these PowerPro batteries because the way that the costs broke down, it was actually cheaper to get 2 of these than it would have been to build the exact same capacity battery array out of the server rack batteries. So even though this is probably more battery than I would have had otherwise, if I had expanded it later, it probably would have equated to this much battery anyway. I can get into the specs on a separate video. I just need to figure out how to move these because I wasn't expecting them to all be on one pallet like this. So we'll see what I can do. thank you for sticking around to the end of this video. You can see how much of a pain it was to move these batteries. It was a literal pain. These weigh over 300 pounds each, and without using leverage, using pivot points, sliding them on boards, there would be no way for me to budge these at all. I couldn't imagine moving them in those crates because that added significant weight as well. Opening the crates, I was able to get all of the accessories out and try to reduce the weight as much as I could, but even then, I'm still fighting to move these batteries inside. You might be able to see some of the dents on the door. That's fine, that's what this door is for. No one's ever gonna see it, it's just the utility room. But as you can see here, I got these two batteries spaced next to each other on the back wall. 1 foot of clearance above them, just as the manual requires. And I'm looking forward to getting these wired up in the next month or two. So if you wanna see any of that, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time on Kind Heart Homestead. Thanks.